Hello Internet, in this video I will show you how I made these strong yet easy threaded rod suspended garage cabinets. Keep watching. Welcome to Scott's Garage. Welcome literally to my garage. If you like some garage time in your off time, if you like do-it-yourself projects, if you like working on your own car, even a project car, if you like organizing your garage, then Scott's Garage is a place for you. All of my do-it-yourself projects begin here in my garage. Welcome to my channel. Now before I show you the detail of these cabinets, I need to point out that I am not a professional cabinet maker or even woodworker. I am an amateur. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I will say though that these are very strong cabinets. They were very inexpensive to make. I made these for less than $50. Now I say they're very strong. The reason they're strong is that they are threaded rod and suspended. As you can see in there, the threaded rods. And why would I use threaded rod? And the answer is because in many of my garage projects, I have many threaded rod shelves, and I had some extra threaded rod, and it's what I knew how to do. And also I was able to make this cabinet for less than 50 bucks, having some of the supplies that I needed. But anyway, let me show you the detail. Okay, I started off with two 2-foot by 4-foot by 1/2 inch MDF hardboards, which are right here. I took 6 inches off of each board. So that leaves 18 inches by 48 inches. And that will be the dimensions of the shelves in the garage cupboards. I also took 2 of the 2 by 3 by 8 foot studs, and I ripped them in half. So these are now 1.5 inches thick. And they are going to form a frame around each of the shelves beyond the bottom side, very similar to how I did these shelves here. And I'm probably not going to show it, but I'll use my compound miter saw, and I'll get these in place, and we will go from there. Okay, it's time to build the frame. This frame will give the shelf more support, so not just the MDF. MDF by itself will sag. This will form it up. I'm not going to put real heavy objects on this, but it'll be plenty strong enough for what I'm doing here. I'm going to pre-drill on each of these corners, just straight in, halfway down. So this is 3/4 of an inch, so halfway up, straight through 2 times on each corner. Then I'm using some decking screws. These are number 10, and they're 3 inch, and they're long enough to go through. So 2 of these on every corner is plenty strong enough. And I'll also be gluing it. After I pre-drill it, I'll glue everything, put the screws in. Do that for both shelves. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pre-drill all the holes for the threaded rods, and I'm going to stack everything together. So I'm going to elevate this off the workbench. I don't want to drill through my workbench. I'll use some scrap wood here. It's all the same thickness, 3/4 of an inch, and just prop it up. And I'll stack the 2 shelves plus the 2 frames. Measure exactly, and I'll drill 1/2 inch holes, a drill bit, and there'll be 6 holes. Okay, I want to show you the detail of how I'm going to hang these threaded rods. So this is the top side. This will be on the ceiling. And I used a cone bit and just, reamed out the top of these holes. And I'm using these flange nuts upside down. I'm going to use some thread lock, blue thread lock to lock in the threads here. And basically, these just drop straight in, just like that. So that'll be then bolted up into the rafters and the ceiling, and the rod just hangs down straight from there. And I think that's going to work just fine. So if you watched my previous projects involving threaded rod, you know that I went into the attic above the rafters. In this project, I'm actually going below the rafters, a little bit different process. Okay, sorry about that. In the time lapse, I didn't have the camera angled correctly, but everything is in place and is secure. And you may notice that the rods on the center are further out than the rods on the side. There's a reason for that. If you look at the frame here, so two of the rods will be on the longest part of the frame, and then there's four, two on each side. And I just think that overall that will give it more strength. Okay, just wrapping up here, just putting in these 1-inch screws just around the perimeter here. It'll join the frame with the MDF and give it a lot of strength. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to show you the nuts that I purchased for these threaded rod hanging cabinets and the shelves for those cabinets. And I've used these type of nuts, by the way, for the other threaded rod shelves in the garage. They work real well. So they're called hex flanged nuts. It's cheaper to buy a box of 50 than it is to buy these individually. Individually, these are 69 cents a piece. So about 40 cents, the box price. And so these nuts have a built-in washer, and it's meant to be like a lock washer if you tighten it enough. I'll be using some thread lock as well. And what I'm going to do right now is I'll be using 6 of these to run up the rods. And I'm going to get very close to the top. I'm not going to go all the way. Then I'll be lifting up the shelves, likewise 6 more nuts, and then the very bottom 6 more nuts. And then I'll be attaching it to the wall, the shelves, by drilling a hole and running some screws back there. And then once that's secure and level and secure, then I'll be putting some thread lock up here and cinching these up as well. Okay, as you can see, I could stop right here. This is a good set of shelves, nice and strong. But we want this to be more of a cabinet with cabinet doors. And so the next steps will be to do that, adding sides and a frame, and then the 2 doors, cabinet doors. Before I do that though, I want to secure the shelves to the studs in the wall. So I've marked the studs with my stud finder there and there. And so I'll just be drilling at a slight angle and pre-drilling and putting some screws in. I'll do that for the top shelf as well. Okay, it's time now to make the cabinet doors. I'm not going to film all this. It's a very similar procedure. I'm going to take the 2x3 stud, I'm going to rip it in half so it's 3/4 of an inch by 3. I'll be using my compound miter saw. I'm measuring it correctly. I know approximately the size it's going to be. And cutting the 45s. And then after that, I'll be cutting a groove on the inside. If you can picture this in half, a groove on the inside where a panel will fit in. And I will show you more detail here as we go. Okay, there's some things I did not film, but I'm going to tell you what I've done here. I took the hardboard, the 6-inch piece of hardboard from the shelves, and I ripped them down a little bit more. And it's not completely done here, but this will serve as what the cabinet door shuts on. I'll show you here in a few minutes. What I'm doing now is painting. You can see I've already put a 1 coat on the cabinet door frames, and it's the same paint I've used for all the projects here in the garage, and it's Valspar. It's sold by Lowe's. This is called Rock Bottom, and it's cabinet and furniture paint. It has oil mixed in so that when you brush it on, you don't see any brush marks once it sets up. It takes longer for it to set up. Really great paint. And so I'll be putting a second coat on here and putting a first coat on here, and it'll become clear here as we go. After putting a couple coats of the paint on the MDF, I'm now putting it in place. Most of it was cut already, and just the last parts there I had to cut in place. And here I'm installing the side panel, again scrap hardboard, 1/8 inch thick. Okay, I'm at the point where I can show you how I'm putting together the cabinet doors. So you can see the frame pieces here that I cut with the grooves cut in there. The grooves were cut wide enough so that this hardboard, and I had some of this simply lying around, so this is scrap, so I'll use it up now. It's not quite 1/8 of an inch, but the grooves are 1/8 of an inch. And so I'm just going to sandwich everything together, and I'm going to glue it with Gorilla Glue. And this particular Gorilla Glue says no foam. I don't like the foaming kind, but this is no foam. And I'll put it in those grooves all the way around as I push it together. And I'll probably use regular wood glue for the 45s here. I'm just going to press it all together and let it dry and see how secure it is. As it turned out, I needed to use my Harbor Freight brad gun nailer using 5/8 inch brads, as well as putting screws in each of the corners. Okay, I made a decision to paint everything, including the hardboard that I was going to leave natural, but just looked better painted. Also added some hardware, so some door handles here. Also went ahead just so it's all the same, and I painted the hardboard that I had up here. Now it's a matter of simply attaching the doors. I also put on hinges. I'm not going to show you how I did that, but I just added some hinges, and it should all be ready to go. All right, so here they are, strong yet easy, inexpensive, overhead threaded rod suspended garage cabinets. Hey, if you got any value at all from this video, please give me a like. It costs you nothing, but it was a great value to me. And as usual, have a great day.